Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name's Sierra Steinmetz.
Bryan Schube.
Kari Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones home team.
And this is episode 57, and we had a really fun picture up, but we can't show it because it embarrassed Bryan. So what he looked like over the weekend here, we know what it is. But today we've got, it's that time of year, Kari's get into gutter cleaning. How often should you do it? Probably, I don't know. We'll let her get into that then. I don't know the last time I cleaned my gutter, so I probably need to know. Schube, selling a property with tenants still living in it, which is a real thing. It happens all the time, so we need to navigate a lot of times. Sierra, what does listing really mean? That's definitely something people get confused about. Mm-hmm. And then I got a fun one here. I had to go to Reddit here. I think it's an older one, but I found several of them here. Does anyone else think that realtors are the reason for housing market being overpriced? Yeah. So us dirty agents, are you the reason houses are so expensive? So we'll come back to that. Kari, what do we got? Gutters. Let's pull. You had something to share here, right?
Yep. How often should your gutters be cleaned? And I think that depends on your house, where it's located. If you live in the woods versus if you live in a clean subdivision with no trees, or in town, you're probably not going to have to clean as often as if you lived, by the river or out in the woods. So how often should you clean your gutters, and what do you need to do and when? So generally they say spring and fall is the best time to do it. Obviously with the fall, you've got falling leaves, but you've also got debris, and there's all kinds of stuff that can get clogged up in your gutters. You've also got critters that, take nuts and stuff up there and can cause like a back jam or a backlog of debris, especially near the downspouts. And so it's important to keep that clean. And if you take a look at this picture, you can see that over the course of time, there's probably been multiple ice jams that have caused that weighing of the gutter to be pulled away from the... I
mean, it's pulling the fascia board and everything off the house then.
Yeah. And so that's why gutter maintenance is so important. So you can see the debris in this photo. That's just beyond leaves, some of the stuff that can get with storms and things that can get collected in the gutters. And I think it's important too, because the water, I've been talking so passionately about, water collection and how it's important to get it away from your foundation. And you wouldn't think that something like that picture would cause basement damage, but honestly, with the gutters looking like that, you've got water pouring over the edge, going straight down into your foundation. Perhaps your gutters have become disjointed because there's too much debris and you just need to pull it out and clean it. And this topic came to me because this weekend, my son and his buddy, they're seniors in high school, and they went to their one of their homes and said, oh, let's see if we can get the gutter clean. And they were coming up with all these ideas, and they didn't want to get on a ladder and do it the old-fashioned way. So the one kid gets a leaf blower and shoves it up the bottom.
Oh, man.
It's blasting it, and they were expecting it to come over. So they take a trampoline and they move it close to the house so that the trampoline catches any debris that falls over. And he's like, is it working? Is it working?
They put a lot of work into this.
And then all of a sudden you can see he pulls the leaf gutter or leaf blower away from the gutter, the downspout, and it just shoots out like a flood, and they're just laughing and carrying on. But who knew you could have such a fun time,
with
cleaning the gutters.
Yeah. Points for creativity.
That's right. So there are a couple of different ways, creative ways otherwise, that you could clean the gutters. The first one, Bill has it pulled up here. This is the water technique. So they sell, you could just use your plain old garden hose and get up there with a ladder and blast it that way with just a regular spray nozzle from Walmart or the garden center or whatever. This one's this particular tool that goes up and rounds, but I love that she's wearing a white shirt and Sperry's because
this is completely
who
staged.
dresses
There's
like
no
this?
way.
Like I have to wear like a hat or some sort of plastic hairnet if I'm going to do something like that, but at least she's wearing sunglasses. So that is an efficient way, that's a dirty way, but an efficient way to clean your gutters, because that's going to blast all of that debris all over that white siding, all over her white shirt, all over the ground.
I still don't see how that, I've tried using that just, maybe that thing's different than what I use, but that just doesn't work. That pile of stuff that she's got in there, that little bit of water isn't just shoving it out of there.
Sure. And I don't know, it almost looks AI, because what does she have it attached to at the bottom?
I was wondering that too.
It's not attached to anything. It doesn't look
looks like a pool skimmer.
Yeah.
Actually, it does, yeah.
Yeah. So that's water technique. And again, you could do that with a garden hose or with an attachment tool. This is just old school. Just get up there by hand.
That's
Some
what you
would
need
say
to do.
that's probably the most effective way. It does take time, but then you can see not only, are you up there, but you can see and inspect your gutters while you're up there to make sure that it's not pulling away from the house.
Because these nails come loose, things like that. You can see if you're, shingles or the fascia board or anything's coming loose.
Yeah, Christmas lights are coming soon enough. You might as well make sure your clips are all still there too.
Right.
While you're up
My
there.
lights would still be up there. They wouldn't have come down.
Same. So the next picture is a leaf blower extension system. These have become pretty popular. This one I pulled, I think, from Ace Hardware, but Walmart also has one. And this attaches directly to a leaf blower. So I don't know if it's on the next picture.
These do work. They make a mess though. You're going to blow stuff all over the place.
Same thing. So this one I think would probably be, depending upon if it has rained, this would probably be a little cleaner than the water method because you've got the water, the mud, and the debris. This one you just have, unless it's just recently rained, which I wouldn't recommend anyway. But if your leaves are dry, and especially if you live in a place where you're cleaning them constantly, this would be nice just to every once in a while just go up and blow the leaves out.
Which I think would work for leaves, but if you go back to that previous picture with all the stuff just laying in there,
like big,
I don't
heavy,
know if that's going to just blow that out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you haven't cleaned them in a year or two.
You got to get your hands dirty.
Mm-hmm. And you see he's wearing gloves. I recommend that too. And then the last one finally is just hiring a professional, just having somebody, pay somebody.
Hard hat and all. Look at that guy.
Yeah. Pay a professional, to go up and really assess the gutters. And maybe this is a person who's potentially going to replace your gutters. So maybe you're getting a quote at the same time. But honestly, I think the just traditional getting up there cleaning by hand, and then you also are protecting your house, and I can't say this enough, you're protecting your house from future damage, because letting your gutters go is, and I don't know where all in United States is required to have gutters, but I know there's you are supposed to have gutters on your house.
Yeah, you got to control where the water
and
goes.
if you're going to have gutters, you might as well make sure that they're working properly, so you don't get ice jams and debris and everything. And then not to mention that nasty overflow of water that happens most of the time for all of us. It's when it's a really heavy downpour. But if your gutters are full, it's going to happen, even if it's not.
Right. Which, to your point, is super important to control where the water is going. Even just the downspouts, going away from the house, making sure it gets away from the foundation, so you're not getting water just pouring right next to your home. So that causes a lot of issues.
Walking out and reattaching that one piece at the side of the corner of your house, because when we're showing houses, it's let's go look at the corner where the downspout. What is that's causing that? Go back upstairs, go around the corner. Oh, look, the downspout's
I wonder how water's getting in here.
Detached for a year and a half.
Dumping right at the foundation wall.
Yeah. And time goes really quickly, and if you don't pay attention to that, you got bigger problems.
It does. Yeah, I think anywhere you got leaves around
I'm passionate about gutters and water.
I'm a gutter advocate.
Hey, we did own a seamless gutter business there for a hot second.
Yeah.
So I guess I do.
That's, I guess jury's still out on the leaf guard things or the sponges they put in there. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should work, I would think. But
I feel like
I've
the gutter guards where it's like that mesh that goes over top of them, or it looks like a waffle pattern.
Right.
Those can be very beneficial in a place like a subdivision or in town. If you live right by the river, you live in the country, and those get covered with debris, you're in the same boat as if you didn't have them on there to begin with. So I don't know if it works in all situations, but
then worse than that, quick story, flat house. I used to live on Greenfield Street, where there was there was a drain line right in the middle of the house. So all the water would pool right there. So it was just this little 4-inch gap, and a couple leaves would go in there and just block it. And you'd end up with a swimming pool.
So Bill's up there.
Literally feet of water on top of the house. We first discovered that when we moved in there, and it just started raining down all the walls because there was 2-3 foot of water on top of the house, which I can't imagine how much weight that is. So,
and if you don't know, you don't know.
Flat
roofs.
Yeah, right.
I could talk about flat roofs too. That's a good time.
Yeah, you've had your fair share of that. So, all right. So, I guess get the gutter guard or just clean your dang gutters, right?
Yeah. Get the gutter guard or clean your gutters.
Yeah. I think just get up there, get the gloves on, get it dug out of there. So, that's purposely why I have not put one tree around my house. There's off to the side, but there's not a single leaf that can blow into my gutters. I dealt with that for a lot over the years.
Yeah, I'm bringing a bucket of leaves over
You're screwed, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You're done.
Forget TP in. You're coming with the leaves.
All right. Good there, Kari?
Yeah.
Okay. Schube, selling a property with tenants.
Yeah, I know obviously we've all been in this situation. It could go multiple different ways here. So selling a property, a duplex or even a single family home with tenants currently living in it can obviously be challenging. So I think just to try to avoid any issues with that, I think again, you're threatening the tenant's way of life, so I don't really know if there's ever going to be a good way to go about it. But just, I guess, to make it the best situation for hopefully everybody, the first thing is open communication and cooperation with the tenants. Explain, I guess, open communication with tenants and sets the tone for a smooth transaction for everybody. Explain the process early with what showings are, inspections, appraisals, and how that's going to work for them. So just set that tone, and hopefully it makes it a little bit smoother for everybody.
I found trying to surprise them with that does not go over very well usually.
No.
And if you have tenants that are on a certain schedule, if you can figure out early what that schedule is, so that when showings get requested, it's not getting declined every single time, and then you've got to talk to the seller and they got to talk to the tenant, figure out when's a better time or whatnot. Just like expedite that entire process and figure out what their work schedule or what works best for their life, so that again, you're not offsetting where they're already living.
Yeah, I think if you make it challenging for them,
they're gonna make
the
it
more
challenging
challenging you make it for them, the more challenging they're going to make it for you. Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because like you said, there's really no incentive for them to really help. So how often you get
because the way they're going to look at it is,
and,
oh my gosh, my rent. If this sells, my rent's going to
I'm
go
getting kicked
up.
out.
I'm
Yeah.
getting kicked out.
Right.
There's a bunch of different scenarios that go through their heads. So again, just be open and honest with them. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen or what offers you're going to get, so it's hard to promise them anything. But again, at least being open and honest, I think, goes a long way. Another part, as far as the agent side or even the seller side, understand the lease terms. So review the lease, obviously, before listing. Is it month to month? Is it a fixed term? When is the lease up? Kind of review those and see, what exactly is happening with that lease and where it's at in the process. A fixed lease, as we all kind of know, usually transfers with the buyer, while a month to month allows more flexibility for either you as the seller or the new buyer.
Which that always makes the tenants super nervous when they're on a month to month at that point, because is the guy going to come in and throw me out?
In most instances, I've had it both ways, but I would say a lot of times the new landlord or the new buyer's usually like, I want them out of there before closing because I want to be able to pick, my own people or whatever.
Right.
So
or do repairs
Right.
or something.
Or move
like
in if it's single family. Move in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had people that say they don't want to feel like they're inheriting someone else's problem.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. They're not to say that our problem, but that's the way they kind of look at it.
Or, if that tenant's been there for 20 years. And
they're paying like $200 a month.
Like, again, that doesn't make sense for that new landlord to go in and inherit a
I'm going to quadruple your rent, Martha.
That happens a lot.
I
know that happens a lot, unfortunately. And I don't know what I would do, but it'd be really hard to. Martha's lived there for 20 years, and she's only went up $10 a month or $10 a year for the past however many years,
or at all.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, we get a lot of those. Where we're like, well, same thing with value in the property. So if they're looking at the bank's going to look at what's a current rent. Oh, they're only paying $300 a month. Well, I could get $1,000. Let's value it off of that. No, you're getting $300.
That's
Yeah,
how
you're
my
not
most
getting
recent
1,000.
one was.
Yeah.
They'd been there for a while, and they were good tenants, so she wasn't charging them anything
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah, right.
And then when you put that into the MLS, everyone else is looking at that as, oh, why aren't they getting is it completely run down?
Yeah.
Like, what's the situation there?
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of times with tenant listings, you usually don't do pictures of the inside. Sometimes you do, but sometimes the tenants just don't really want you to, or it's just more comfortable for everyone if you don't. And so they can only see the outside photos and whatnot. So then if they're seeing they're also only getting a couple $100 a month in rent, it's like, oh, what's wrong then?
What's wrong with Martha's apartment?
That is very common that they don't want pictures of the inside.
Yeah.
So, which I don't understand. I guess I understand. Don't when you're selling your house, you're taking pictures of the whole thing.
The way I'm looking at that is again, without putting those inside pictures, it's hard for somebody to visualize what the property looks like. So you're going to get more showings and more of an
just
inconvenience.
more out of curiosity, trying to figure it out.
And whereas if you would just say, hey, I'll let you put photos of the inside of my home on here. At that point, okay, well maybe that's gonna get rid of some of those tire kickers. And not have to leave your home as much or disrupt you as much or whatever. So
I'll try not to get your futon or your Pokemon collection in the pictures. Nothing against Pokemon collection, but there's worried about that for whatever reason.
Yep. Next one, as far as the agent side, market to the right buyer. Investor buyers often see occupied properties as an advantage. Rental income from day one. Obviously, like I said, that you can look at that from multiple different ways. If the rental income is on the lower side, maybe that's a disadvantage to some buyers. Owner-occupants might prefer vacant homes, so adjust your marketing and timing accordingly. Next one, manage property condition and presentation. Tenants may not keep the home in show-ready condition, so plan photography and schedule showings carefully.
I think that's a given most of the time.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of times I think they make it worse when you were like, hey, we're coming to, for a showing or whatever.
The only thing worse than that is when they take the person by hand and like walk them through every. I've been living here for 15 years. Here's this and that, and this carpet's ripped, and it's like stop. Yeah,
I was just at a showing a couple weeks ago here in town, and it was an investment property, and literally that's what the buyer did. Oh, this is our chimney. It's been leaking for 10 years. No one's fixed it. Here, and it's just
the tenants walking them through.
Yeah, the tenants walking
all the time,
through, like just pointing out. And she literally was like, "I've been told I'm not supposed to talk to you, but oh well."
I'm gonna tell you everything. So and I don't know if that's them trying to be helpful or
you wonder what is it an alternative motive?
Discourage trying to just torpedo the sale altogether then so it just doesn't happen. I don't know.
Because it's one of those
happens all the time.
I would think she would she's trying to be helpful, but at the same time, like, if it's that bad, why would you want to live in it? You know what I mean? Like, why are you still here?
Why have
besides
you
the rent's probably cheap. So I was gonna bring that up. So just
getting ahead of you.
No, all good. Timing and strategy matter. If possible, align the sale. I think what we talked about. Align the sale with lease expiration to expand your buyer pool. So obviously, like I said, more investors seem to be interested. Whereas if it's an empty property rather than occupied property, unless again the rents make sense to them and they know they're inheriting a good tenant. But again, without you being the landlord who brought them in, it's hard to determine, how good or not good that tenant is.
We've had that before where they're trying to sell, like, oh, we just signed new leases with everybody. And like, oh, man, okay.
That's almost worse.
Yes, yeah.
Considering offering a cash receipt keys agreement if both parties agree to end the lease early. So maybe the tenant will say, hey, your rent's gonna go up or whatever, and maybe the tenant just says, well, we'll find somewhere else. I doubt that happens, but again, you just never know, I guess.
I think that has happened because it's a lot cheaper to offer somebody $500 to move out than go try to evict somebody.
And I feel like,
I guess in our kind of area, it's probably a lot harder to find. My concern would be trying to find somewhere else for them to go.
Yeah, they have nowhere to go. I don't care what you offer me. I'm not going to be homeless.
Yeah. Especially if it's a situation where when they've been getting a really good rate for their rent, it's going to be hard to.
And that's what I'm thinking, like in bigger cities, it's easy for them to just pay out the rest of their lease. Like, say from the tenant's perspective, I do want to leave because I don't want my rent to go up or whatever. I can find something better. I'll just pay out the rest of my lease and leave. They have more options to go find something versus
personally,
like here.
I'm not paying out the rest of my lease if they're going to come to me for that. But I agree. There's
I'm talking more like if they just signed and they want out,
right?
Kind of
so in those long-term tenants, those are the ones like, well, I can't take my 3 cats and 4 dogs anywhere. And it's like, because nobody's going to want that.
Nobody's going to want that.
I don't.
And the new landlord probably doesn't want it.
No, they don't want that either. So.
And then just legal compliance protects everyone. Always provide proper notice before entering the property. So just review the lease and see what that is. Typically, it's 24 hours. Include lease documents in your disclosures. Most people, when they're looking at a property, are going to want to be able to see those leases, review those leases to know, what the terms are of that lease. And then be clear in the purchase contract about tenants' rights and possession. So, just make sure you're reviewing everything and you have all of your ducks in a row. Obviously, again, this is going to be stressful on those tenants having, maybe a new landlord or potentially being kicked out of their home.
Right.
So, you're just going to have to be flexible with everybody and try, usually it always winds up working out. But just, be prepared for maybe a little bit of pushback from your tenants.
Do you guys think this is kind of probably going to extend our conversation a little bit and go in a different direction, but would you guys say that homelessness in the United States has a lot to do with people and how many animals they have? Like, honest to goodness.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean,
homeless people have more or less animals. I don't know.
Well, not really homeless. Situationally displaced.
Oh, because they have their fur babies.
Yeah, I just left. My lease is up or I'm getting kicked out or they're selling my house and I have 3 cats, 2 dogs.
Right.
And I have nowhere to go. And they're not willing to get rid of the animals, but they have
We've had that conversation a lot of times. I can't find anywhere. They're great dogs. There's just some little Fido.
Everybody that I talk to that's looking that cannot find housing, that's like one of the common, most common thing is that they have all of these animals that they're not.
I'll get rid of my dogs.
I love I love my dog, but if it's between a house and I don't know, that's a tough one.
Yeah, well, and because usually there's like pet rent or deposits.
I was
or
going to
something.
say, usually they collect an additional deposit. But like again, if you're collecting a $200 or $250 deposit for a dog for 5 years or a year,
never made any sense to me.
It's not going to offset the potential damage.
Your dog ruined $4,500 worth of carpet. That $25 a month isn't going to make any difference. So
Fido done pissed through the subfloor.
Yes, it just ruined half the house. Yeah, that's tough. I found you hit on that then too. Just you almost have two sellers at that point. The person owns a home, and then you have the tenant. So I think you need to get everybody on the same page. I think you talked about Sierra. I think just having a good conversation with those people to tee them up as far as what the expectations are, what the showings are going to be like. Because if not, they're going to deny every showing. I hate to have to say, well, you've denied 5 showings in a row. Here's a 24-hour notice, and you show up and they're mad. Like if you don't have a good conversation up front of it being difficult, but.
And I think that's what Sierra said, ask them, hey, is there specific times that work best for you?
Right.
Because
you work third shift.
With our showing service, we can block out, specific times. Hey, look, tenants' availability is only from here to here.
Right.
And obviously that makes it a little bit more difficult when they have animals, because then, we got to get the animals put away or whatever for that showing. So, again, just have that conversation with them and try to figure out what works best for you guys. We're going to help try to
Realtors only turn the key.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Right,
They just turn a key. Why do they need paid, Bill? Why do they need
exactly
paid?
Right.
You don't even do anything.
Why are they jacking the prices up in houses? So, all right. But we've done a lot of them, done a ton of rentals.
Yeah.
So, it usually works, but sometimes a little harder than others.
It's very situational.
Right.
Yeah.
And make sure you put in the contract, you're negotiating, when you're taking possession, the deposit,
security deposit,
prorating rent, things like that. That's stuff most people don't even think about, and you're sometimes leaving a lot of money on the table.
Right.
So.
And then, one last thing. There's always the opportunity of there being possibly delinquent bills, delinquent sewer and stuff like that. Just dealt with this. Usually that's going to fall on the seller to get that paid, so it's going to come out of their proceeds at the end.
Yep.
So whether then as the seller, they need to figure out if they're just going to eat that, if they're going to get that from whatever tenant hasn't paid, whatever that looks like. I mean, there's just so many things.
The sewer bill in our area, the sewer bills happen a lot because ultimately the homeowner is responsible for them, but the tenants are supposed to pay them and don't pay them. That just gets put on the property tax. So that's a great point.
So would it almost be better to up the rent and try to cover at least some of the sewer and pay it out of
just
pocket?
Pay it probably.
Right,
yeah.
Honestly.
All right. Cool. Sierra, what does listing really mean?
All right. So this is kind of going more towards the verbiage in a listing. And I think we all, consumers or agents, have been fooled by listing photos or things like that, where they maybe were a little bit not trying to be misleading, but trying to do the best they can to present a home that might not have the best features or the most done to it or whatnot. And so I've got a list here of common phrases, what it usually means, and then kind of what a buyer should ask if they see that. The first one I think is pretty common. When you see the word cozy in a listing, usually
doesn't mean it's huge, right?
Usually means it's on the smaller side, sometimes very small. Cozy, quaint, I feel like those two are interchangeable. So buyers should be asking, what is the actual square footage? I know a lot of times too, you'll get those houses that are only 700, 900 square feet, but then they got a full basement underneath. So that's another thing that I've had before. Someone that's really looking for a 3-bedroom, but it's a 2-bed and it's small, when they're kind of strapped for options. If it's got a full basement underneath that could be finished or whatever, that's another option. It's just something as an agent that you got to look out for, and same with buyers and whatnot.
So you say extra cozy then, or
that's
probably extra small then? No, I think you come up with a different.
And then kind of with the investment talk and whatnot, needs TLC or bring your vision, bring your ideas.
Bring your vision. I love that.
Usually means repairs or updates needed, possibly a fixer-upper type of home. So that's something you're going to look more into, of how extensive that's going to be, what that cost is going to come down to at the end of the day. And a big point too, is it structural or cosmetic? Is it just outdated aesthetically, or is the wiring original and the house is from 1865? You know what I mean?
Yeah, bring your vision means update the bathroom, not replace a foundation.
Right,
I don't have much vision for the foundation.
For sure. Charming or full of character. This one, I do like to use this verbiage, usually not in a negative like connotation or trying to hide anything, but it does go along with older homes that have more quirks to it or just more originality, personality, because obviously with more of the newer builds, like new construction, maybe it's not the same like old woodwork ornate detailing type of thing. So
when you got like a old craftsman house with nice woodwork and things like that, that 100%. I don't think is a negative at all.
Yeah, I think that's a selling point, and for some people it is. But that also could coincide with having outdated systems,
peeling paint,
not
electric
wiring,
right.
all that kind of stuff. Up and coming neighborhood, this one might be a little controversial or whatever, but area may still be developing or less established, which is not necessarily a bad thing either, but it is something to maybe look at the long-term growth outlook. Are all of your neighbors going to be on top of you, or is that something you're okay with? What's that looking like for the development of that area necessarily? Price to sell, motivated seller. We've been over this one before. Sellers ready to go. They want this quick. They also may not
Why the rush?
Right. They may not be willing to do repairs or whatnot, or maybe they are.
It's a sinkhole. We're going down quick.
Right. So that's one that could be a red flag, or could just be the seller's ready to get rid of this house, or they need to sell it to buy, whatever. There's a lot of layers to that one too. And again,
that one's always tough because their home's on the market. They obviously want to sell, but I guess this adds another layer of you know, motivation or. Yeah, that's
when a buyer says, "Ooh, I can lowball the crap out of
them."
Yeah,
they just reduce their price. Let's lowball them even more. They're desperate.
For sure. Low maintenance yard, small or no yard is usually where that one winds up. So if you are someone that needs a larger lot, that's probably not what you want to see in a listing. But again, if you're maybe looking for a forever home and you're not in the position to be mowing a huge lot and stuff like that, that might be right up your alley.
Which is appealing to some people. Some people, that's what they're looking for. You say, here's this 2-acre yard. I don't want that.
Right.
I mean, I do, but some people don't.
If they want to downsize or if they're busy.
Right.
Travel for work.
Absolutely. Next one, original details. We already kind of talked about that. That goes
old.
with charming, full of character. Yeah. Could be old, but also could just have a lot of personality. Investor's dream. Same with needs TLC.
It's a hot mess.
Yeah. You probably are definitely going to need to bring
nightmare,
your ideas. Yeah. As is, we just did a whole deep dive on that the other week. And then move-in ready usually is a good thing if you are looking for something turnkey, updated, clean, modern, maybe not even modern, but everything's been done for you. But I do like the note of confirm the quality of the upgrades, because again, if it's like just a flip, and especially if it's like someone's like first couple flips or whatever, maybe they're just doing what they know to do, and it's lipstick on a pig. Or maybe it's not, maybe it's perfectly fine and they've just done updates. They've lived there for 10 years, but they did some updates to get it ready for the market, and it's great to move into. So
I've seen move-in ready in a lot of different conditions. Some people's move-in ready is a lot different than too. And then the as is, that to me is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means the seller, I mean, most of the time it's like, okay, it's probably going to be a pile, but a lot of times the seller just doesn't want to do anything. They're not capable. They live out of town, whatever. You're getting it as is. So.
Or it's one of those ones.
If you're selling it as is, you need to price it accordingly then.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And that could be one of those ones as well where maybe it would be perfectly fine to go conventional, but there's going to be some issues with FHA or VA, like peeling paint or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's on the outside of the house that they don't want to deal with. They would rather, they know that the house is good, but they don't want to mess with those little nitty gritty things. So they would rather just say as is and keep it that way. So yeah, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on the situation and what the as is condition is. So then I'll run through the rest of this pretty quick. Sometimes there's more weight in what's not said or shown. No photos of the kitchen or bath. That's usually not a good thing, because those are usually the big two that we have when it comes to, maybe not the bathroom, but kitchen especially, when it comes to photographing a listing and trying to market it. So if there's no photos, I'm going to guess that maybe they didn't want to see that, and there's probably a good reason for it. No square footage listed. I don't even know that we have this as an option.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
No, I'm
the
pretty sure it's
MLS
out
requires
there.
that we put
Yeah.
that. So that's definitely not a good
FSBO,
sign.
for sale by owners.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
true. That's very true. Lots of exterior photos, but for your interior ones, again, probably needs work. And vague descriptions like nice home in a good area often indicate limited features or minimal upgrades. There's not much to describe because there's not much going on. You know what I mean? So
Or they just have a terrible agent.
or that.
I mean,
there just wasn't effort put in,
right.
but
My favorite one is like when you when you're online looking and you see a picture and then all of a sudden like you actually go to the house and like a foot over from where their picture ends, there's a huge hole in the wall or something like that. It's just like, okay.
So they didn't take pictures
so I
of the
guess
right things.
from your guys' standpoint, by doing something like that, I mean, yes, you're getting people in the door, but is getting people in the door better than all of the negative feedback that
you're not
providing
you're
to the
not
seller?
meeting the expectation. Expectation, you show up and it's a perfectly done house and you walk into 40 projects.
Yes.
You have a big disconnect between
So
what they're
from a
expecting.
seller's standpoint, would you rather have the showings or the negative feedback?
right,
Yeah. And it can be embarrassing for sellers too, I think, depending upon how bad it is. So you almost have to walk that line between a listing agent and then also trying to capture what, if you were the buyer's agent, what it would look like.
So I think painting a clear picture of what a home actually is probably the most important thing.
Yeah. I showed an REO one outside of town here a few years ago, and it actually looked like it was in pretty decent shape, and then you get in and I think it was on the first floor. It was like on the stairs. It was like an open stairway, and like the whole ceiling was like all the plaster had fallen down, and it was like the lathe like honestly wasn't even there. Like it was kind of a mess, and it was one of the ones where you had to sign in and like write that you were there and whatnot, and
sign a waiver before you walk in the door. Some of those,
Someone wrote a comment. It was like, really wish that the ceiling issue would have been photographed in the listing. Like buyers are not interested. Stuff like that. Because I mean sometimes there's more harm in hiding that.
I mean you're wasting your time, you're wasting the buyer's time, you're wasting the seller. I mean, you're just wasting time at that point.
Yeah,
but to your point, sorry if the seller wants people in the door. You want to represent the property well.
Right.
But I've driven 45 minutes to get to a house with an FHA buyer that, based on the photos and the description, would have been fine.
Sure.
And you get there, you're like, there's no way.
Yeah, this
like,
is a disaster. Yeah, I don't know. You want to zoom in, like that hole in the wall. You don't need a telephoto picture of it, but you still need to show it though.
Yep.
There's no toilet installed, so you don't hide that.
Or even put it in the agent remarks. Hey, or take a picture and keep it, and then say, hey, ask for additional photos or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, just so
Look
that
at you
way,
coming up with all these good ideas.
Just so that
you had
way,
a lot of time to think doing drywall, huh?
But yeah, I mean, just ultimately expediting that so that your seller's not like, oh, we had 4 showings. Like, where's the offers? And you're like, well,
nothing.
We hit everything bad about the house. Sorry.
Or you make it look really good and you get, 20 showings and no offers and everybody's like, that's too high just because it looks really good online and it's just not.
Yeah. It just kind of puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Well, we had the one in Bascom that was like that, Kari, you and I. Like, well, the downstairs was super nice. They just didn't get to the upstairs.
And the upstairs wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It didn't match the downstairs.
It was. I don't know what the word was. It wasn't cozy. It was. What was the word? It was charming upstairs. It was definitely charming upstairs, but not really. It just. And yet you can't hide that because someone's going to walk in thinking they have a fully finished, redone house, and then go the whole second floor is just, 1970s. So
right. Yeah, and a whole floor is quite a bit to take on.
Yeah, it wasn't the one room. It was everything up there.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, just kind of cross-reference everything as a buyer or an agent. Look up the house on the auditor site. Especially with us having multiple MLSs, it's nice to kind of be able to check that. Price drops, tax records, listing history, especially if you can see the different changes if it's been on the market, off the market, back on, kind of something to keep in mind as well that maybe you want to ask the listing agent about if it's been on and off a couple times and why. And then I also want to make the point that when we have our marketing remarks and stuff like that in our MLSs, we only get so many characters per description.
Yeah. Good Lord,
so
yes.
There can be a difference between what an agent means to say and what a buyer hears from that listing because there can be a little bit of a communication gap if you are running out of characters and you can't quite explain everything. If it does have a quirk or something like that, and you don't have enough ability.
Yes, we would love to write a book about your entire house, but unfortunately we don't have the room. room.
Exactly.
Yeah, because some of the MLS are 600 characters, which is sounds like a lot, but it's not.
That's including periods and commas.
Like you're putting the basic information about the house: 3-bed, 2-bath on 1 acre.
Which is
done.
so silly because
like
it's our job to market the house, and you're limiting what we're able to say, and especially if you've got a exquisite home that does have all the things going for it, and you have to minimize it.
The one you got on Sycamore, you could write a novel about.
Literally a whole. I mean, we have a whole book on it. And then to Sierra's point, Zillow will pull what's in the description. So I just learned that last week is that one of the highlighted features that Zillow pulled, the little tagline, you know how it says like been on the market for this long or updated windows or whatever. Zillow pulls that somehow, some data scrape pulls that word, and gravel driveway was what they decided to highlight on the house that has new windows, new roof, new windows, new gutters, updated everything, appliances included, and the highlighted thing was gravel driveway.
I don't think you can adjust that either.
Oh my! I did adjust it because I took gravel driveway out of the description and just put like the most recent whatever, and then it said convenient first floor living, and I'm like, okay, now we're there. And I didn't do that, but I did go in, just for the agents listening, I did go in and remove gravel driveway,
and that took it out then. But you couldn't. It's not a spot you can go in and edit it though. Just remove it. So
it was in agent remarks, and the reason I put it in there is because they added the gravel driveway in 2023 or whatever the year was. So that was specific. Hey, this was added in this date with the date in parentheses.
But the actual like tagline.
But the tagline was gravel driveway. I'm like, oh my god, that's so
nothing
stupid.
says move-in ready like gravel driveway. You know, not the new everything else.
List with me.
Yeah.
I mean, just do your research really, and there is a lot of nice ways to talk about places that are not the most nice. So just kind of understand the reference and maybe what that means.
Be honest, not too honest though, I guess, as far as what that. Yeah. Bring a gas mask.
I don't know, like
I love that.
A hard hat and steel toe boots and a flashlight are definitely warranted for a lot of
I've had to do that. Yeah, bring a flashlight. Yeah, there's no power on or whatever. So yeah, that's tough. All right, cool. That was fun, Sierra. I like that.
Yeah, we're getting like real good at these podcasts, guys.
Right. All right, we're running low on time here. So I got a question for you guys. So housing prices obviously gone up. You know, you guys have been selling real estate for a while. Prices haven't gone down.
Right.
But are agents, or us dirty agents, the reason that, so on Reddit, does anyone else think realtors are the reason of housing market being overpriced? They kind of misspelled that or whatever. So I didn't see the name. They deleted their name from the comments. So I can't even call you out, but we'll call you Bob, I guess. So Bob says, talking about us agents, they take great pride in selling houses over asking price, which makes every homeowner greedy. Number of new realtors increasing higher. The number of new realtors increasing higher than number of sellable properties. Overall, increasing housing market values.
That's us. We did it.
Most industries where there's a lot of oversaturated industries.
Right. Mm-hmm. But are you Sierra causing housing
Y'all
prices?
Y'all are buying them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
somebody's paying for it.
How we control something that we can't control, but somebody's offering on
especially
a home.
What happened in COVID times. Like, oh my gosh. Like, we're like begging our buyers not to buy at that price. And they're like, no, we want it. We're like,
we need a house.
And
sign here.
Trust me, if we have something overpriced, the
We're
market
talk
lets
about
us
it.
know.
Yeah.
Like we will know when there is not a showing request or no offers after 3 weeks.
Yep.
Like we're made very aware if it's overpriced.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The seller lets us know when they don't have any showings.
Yeah. So there was just a boatload of comments. I had several other posts such as it'll take all day to go through them here. So someone else says, homes on the market 100 days. Buyer, here's my offer. Realtor, ooh, that's crazy. Another bid just came in. Can you go higher? Buyer, no. Realtor, hey, well, so on to another one, big fella. So, and then a comment to that. This happened to me so many times. There's always another buyer, and the bid always fell through. If that happens, I usually realize I'm talking to a scumbag and ghost them.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
isn't it so? Like, it gives you the ick feeling when you're an agent and it's been stale for 3 weeks or a month and a half, and then all of a sudden, like 3 people come in all at once,
and I feel so dirty.
And you're like, it's not me. I swear to God, like I don't know where these people came from. Like I've just been doing my due diligence. I've been marketing it. I've been putting it out there. It's been quiet. It's been crickets. All the to the seller. It's been crickets, and then all of a sudden, boom, 3 all at once.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, there's been like no traction, especially if you say like, well, you're in a pretty good position. It's been kind of quiet,
Mm-hmm.
Tenants.
Well, then Magic Bacon Machine says they are more like leeches, parasites feeding. The system allows it. Why?
Oh my
so
God.
it goes on and on and on. So, but what I wanted to show was, I guess
you could say that about a lot of different industries.
industry,
who
yeah.
are a lot
The
dirtier
price
than
of
we
building
are.
supplies.
Car dealership.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
my
yeah.
first thought.
So, well, I guess just real quick on the multiple offers out of nowhere. My take on that generally is, so a home's been sitting on the market 3 months or whatever. If they do finally do a price reduction or they do get some activity, there's been probably people through the door. But then at that point, those agents have said, hey, my people are interested. Let me know if something comes along.
Yeah.
So if I'm the buyer, home's been sitting there for 90 days, nothing's happened. I put my offer and now suddenly I'm in a 4 multiple offer situation. It seems really weird. But I think it's just literally other people have been watching it. They see they've been notified there's some activity. Now suddenly there's, which again would seem very odd if I'm that buyer. But
Yeah. And like
that's
you
just
said,
how it
price
goes.
drops.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people getting down to the nitty gritty of the timing. Like right now, oh shoot, I wanted to talk about that today, but it would have fallen a week later, and it's when is the best time to buy a house? Because we talked about the best time to sell is in the spring, in that middle May.
Right.
The best time to buy is this week. This week.
This week is?
This
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
but live this week, not this week as in when we go,
Okay,
but
so next week.
October 12th through whatever 18th or something like that is the best week to buy.
Right.
Sorry.
So yeah, there's the best time to sell.
hijack the microphone again, as I always do.
No, all good. So my contention, you got to put your nerd hat on here for a second then too, is not us dirty agents doing that. It's just the value of our dollar. So our purchasing power is not what it is. So we could talk for 2 hours on this here. But the first thing, mortgage rates still being high. So we're at 6.4 basically. That keeps, when rates come down, that jack the prices up for quite a while then too, but there's still a high demand. You get into the actual dollar figures here then too. So let's go way back, even before I was alive, Sierra, if you can believe that. 1967,
Right.
Housing prices. You bought a house for $100,000 in 1967. Due to the rate of inflation, not us agents. I don't even know if there were real estate agents back then. I'm assuming there were. I wasn't around, but probably you could buy, say, a house for $100,000. In today's market, today's dollar, your purchasing power has dropped so much by the dollar, the Dixie, whatever you want to call it. Now that house would now cost you $1.1 million just by if you had the same amount of cash, I guess. You lose that purchasing power. And you look year over year, here's this chart down here then. So the rate of inflation, I think, is what is, I know that's what's driving that.
Yeah.
So I'm no economist or anything like that, but I can read. And it's, every year, 4% up, 6% up, 7%. And that compounds. That's not just one time. So that 4% or 6 on top of the 4, the 7 on top of the 6, on and on and on and on. I mean, there's been multiple double-digit things over the years. So the rate of inflation, us printing money, has been, and I'm not trying to get political about anything here, but that makes a huge difference on what you can buy. I mean, what's gotten cheaper? Nothing. I mean, we just talked about cars, food, everything along the line. I don't think it's us agents, what we charge, what we recommend for pricing. My understanding of pricing is I'm selling something. If a buyer's willing to pay that much for it, that's what it's worth.
Correct.
Not just because I said, oh, this is $1 million house. It's someone else agrees it's $1 million house at that point. So yeah, that's where I wish I knew the guy's name. Bob will call you here. So from Reddit, he was somewhere in Canada then too. So I don't think us agents are doing it.
Yeah, ultimately we come up with our list price based on sold properties. So that's not all of it, but a lot of it is the sold properties nearby. So obviously someone bought something close by that was similar,
right,
for that price or close to it, and the data supports that. So we are going to go with that because as a listing agent, you're there to represent your seller and do the best for them you can. But
it kills me when buyers don't think that you do your due diligence, or sellers for that matter. Like, you haven't done any comparative analysis to figure out what
we just
data.
wrote a list of numbers.
We're just like, you know what? I drove by that house on 123
sure,
Main
we'll
Street.
we'll list it at that.
Oh,
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So if you look again here too, so the price. So again, going back all the way to the dinosaurs, Sierra, we've got every year pricing has gone up. Other than I was around here, 2010. I was actually around, so things were just rocking and rolling through here. I was just getting started. Boom, 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 and the bottom falls out. So there was 1 year since '67 where housing prices have actually gone down, not up. So
if I didn't have 5 kids under 5th grade, I sure would have pulled the trigger and bought a lot of properties in 2010.
Yeah, I should own a bunch of houses. I help people buy all those cheap houses, but I had another page, I don't know where it went then too. It showed it pretty well then as well. So yeah, I think so just increasing demand, more population leads to less supply, drives the pricing up, and then just overall inflation of our dollar, so if you look at, I'll go real nerdy now then too, price of gold versus Bitcoin versus what you could buy a home for. So it wasn't that long ago. It would cost you 1,000 Bitcoin to even think about buying a house. Now you can buy a super nice house for three Bitcoin then too. Same thing with gold. Gold being what, 100 years ago, you could probably buy a very nice home for, whatever a couple pounds of gold, whatever that would be. You do that today, you could buy
really nice.
Probably the same home then too. Yeah. So just our dollar has deflated so much. I guess it's buying power.
Do you think beyond COVID, do you think crypto is what surged everything in 2021-ish?
The market, everything kind of went nuts through there then too. The stock market, the S&P, crypto, all that kind of went bananas. So, and plus we printed ourselves into oblivion as far as for the dollars then too. So that's probably this huge spike right here is, when the pricing went up was you inject a ton of money into the system. Well, everybody has more money to spend.
Still not 1980 something when my parents bought at whatever percent.
Which I was around. I was not paying attention to anything then at that point. So I don't know what was happening then.
My parents talked about how expensive it was to buy literally just a single wide mobile home. And it was like the best thing on,
Sure.
You would have thought they were buying a $250,000 house in a subdivision at that time.
Mahal.
It was. Yeah. It was a Taj Mahal. And they made it and they built an addition and they had a swing set and a shed. And in 1983, that was gold,
So I'll leave it here. It's a couple bullet points here then too. Put these in here. So shrinking dollar, the shrinking value of the dollar. So since 1967, housing prices have gone up over 1,000%, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That means that the house for $100,000 now costs you $1.1 million. Average housing inflation has risen by about 4.26%, which would outpace, normal inflation. This reflects monetary inflation, not necessarily that houses are 10 times better. So I don't think we're still selling those same homes that were built in 1967 or 1902 or whatever. So the houses are 10 times better. So $1 in 1967 would require $11 today. Wow. So you would need basically 10 times as much money for that. Yahoo Finance, average inflation 3.96. So a new home in 73 cost $32,000. Today it costs basically $250,000. Today's average of a new home is $503,000. So that you can buy a real nice home here in Northwest Ohio for $500,000, but that's an average cost.
Average.
Is that does that mean like new construction?
Yeah, so they talk about that here then too. So where was that at here?
I would say, are you back one page? I think I'm on the last page.
Yeah, I don't know. I got too many pages here today. So so homes bought before 2010 now. I know I had something on there. But new homes have outpaced, I don't remember where it was at, but new homes had outpaced the cost of even that inflation rate then too. So I don't know if that's construction material or cost or demand. I'm not sure exactly what that is. So it would have been a 20-page printout if I would have gotten into all those details at that point then too. Wild. So, and
people don't buyers, they walk into a home, especially if they haven't bought for a while, and they're like, wow, my money buys this.
Yeah, right, but it's
right. It doesn't matter if you look at one house or 30 houses, your money's going to buy what your money's going to buy.
Exactly.
And I want to show you the low price and I want to show you the high price, because never has it ever been more important to see the top of your price and the bottom of your price to see what you can get for your bang for your buck.
We just had that. One of our agents has some contention with their buyer that, he just keeps showing me crap homes. This is not what we want to buy. Well, that's your pre-approval letter is, unfortunately. Just easy number. They're just, I'll make something up. They're approved for 120. They want to look at $200,000 homes. We'll just lowball them. You're not going to get someone to come off $80,000 on a $200,000 house. So
everybody that I have in that price point of 100 to 150, they're looking for 250 to 275, and it just doesn't exist.
Yep. What do they say? Champagne taste on a Bud Light, budget or something like that. So. So again, housing prices up 1,000%. Dollars lost 85% of its purchasing power. Home today. So again, how many years ago was that? Not that long ago. 100 Bitcoin to buy a house. Now you could buy 5 Bitcoin. So for the average house, that $500,000 house would have been 100 Bitcoin not that long ago. 5 Bitcoin today. Gold was very similar to that then too. So real estate agents don't make homes more expensive. The currency did.
Boom.
Yeah.
Drop
Mic
that
drop.
mic. So, all right. That's all I got. I don't know. I could leave my nerd hat on all day with that, but...
I tried to get the kids, what do you want to do this weekend? I said, let's take the money we were going to blow on whatever and go get a really nice metal detector. And let's
that'd be fun.
That was my idea of fun this weekend, and they were like, meh, lame.
I have a metal detector you could borrow.
Do you really?
I have one. It's not great. Can I come out to your house and metal detect?
Probably. There's probably some old Indian artifacts.
Bobby would get all geeked out about that. He really would.
All right. Well, that was episode 57. I don't know what we're talking about next week. I have no idea.
Are we dressing up? Is that next week or is that the following week?
I don't know.
Where are we at? I got to
Not
know.
sure. I've thumbs down that vote.
No way.
All right, that's 57. Like, share, do all those things. Check us back, episode 58. Now, I don't know what we're talking about, but you'll have to come back.
Comment what you want us to dress up as.
Oh,
for
God.
Halloween.
Nothing. Just as an overpriced real estate agent. I want to dress up as that. So
That would be fun, actually.
all right, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.